Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening. How are you all? How is everybody out there in internet land? I'm Garfield Waller, and I'll be your host this evening on Rock the Mic. I hope everybody's okay. To those tuning in on Facebook and on YouTube, welcome. Welcome all. This evening we have a very exciting program lined up for you. A very exciting guest, somebody who we have been waiting to hear from a long time, for a very long time. But before we get into that, guys, just a few notices. Guys, early this week on Wednesday, we had one shipment of spikes going down to our St. Mary High athletes. They were taken down by my sister, Carol Waller, and the kids and the coach were very excited about it. They were very happy to have it. We have another shipment set to go down in another couple of weeks. So, guys, regardless of whether there is champs or not, our kids are going to be well equipped with spikes. As we say in Jamaica, they should have spikes, a stone dog, okay? So we're trying to get them as many as we can get. But on the whole, guys, COVID is back in effect in Jamaica, and we know a lot of activities have been curtailed. And here in the US, it seems to be abating in some areas a little, but we can't get our hopes up too far yet. Let's just watch and see what's going on. But I'd like to thank all those who participated in the Sprint for Spikes. The response was fantastic. Even now, I still have people wanting to donate spikes. And I've got to say, hey, hold on a bit. Football season is coming up later on. We may need some football boots also. But for those who contributed spikes and money, thanks a lot. Thank you very much. St. Mary High appreciates it. The kids appreciate it. The principal appreciates it. And we look forward to your continuing support. Anyway, guys, let's get down to it. This evening, we have a very, very, very important guest. I mean, we have been interviewing coaches, we have been interviewing kids, past students, and I believe it's time we turn to the head honcho, the person in charge. And today, guys, we have none other than the principal, Mrs. Julett Frazer-Sadaar. So, guys, without any further ado, let me bring this lady in. And that's Miss Frazer-Sadaar. How are you, ma'am? Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Waller.
How are
Thank
you?
you so much.
glad,
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you.
glad to have
And
you
even
on.
better having heard you speak about the spikes. So before you even begin to question, let me say thank you so much for the wonderful work done on behalf of St. Mary High School and in particular our athletes. I'm quite certain that Mr. Williams is cheering wherever he is. Thank you so much.
Yes, we were happy. We were happy to help. We were happy to help. Miss Sadaar, could you just move a little bit to your right? A little bit to your right. A little bit to, good. Anyway, welcome, madam. We, as past students here in the US and in England and all over, we have always been wondering who is the person in charge? And some of us are finally seeing you for the very first time. We're finally getting a look on the person who is at the reins, the helm of St. Mary High. But before we get into all the many hats you wear, we want to find out who is Julett Sadaar? Who is Julett Frazer-Sadaar? So, if you wouldn't mind taking us all the way back from your early days, where did you grow up? What primary school you went to? Go ahead, we're listening.
Okay. So I was born in St. Mary, Western St. Mary, Bonnygate to be exact.
Where?
Um, Bonnygate,
Oh, you're born again.
Western St. Mary.
Okay, all right. Go
Bonny.
ahead.
Yes, I am a St. Mary resident and from Bonnygate. I started at Mount Angus All Age School, and I'm going to introduce some details into my sojourns,
Uh-huh.
and it is in an effort to let you understand and your listeners the
Okay,
person that I am.
good. That's what we want.
So I'm from Bonnygate, and anybody who knows Bonnygate knows that it is some distance from Mount Angus All Age School.
Yep.
And Mr. Waller, I walked every morning to school. I walked back from school,
Wow.
and that's perhaps 1.5, 2 miles. I couldn't be absent from school because my mother was a disciplinarian. And rain or shine, you had to be in school. And you know that in those days, there were no taxis, and that tells you, you know, a little about my age. There were no taxis for you to get to school. No, you had to walk. So I started out at Mount Angus, and I gained a scholarship, and it was called Common Entrance at the time.
Okay.
Tells you again something about my age. It was called Common Entrance. So I got a scholarship to Marymount High School. And everybody who knows Marymount knows that Marymount is known for discipline too, right?
Yep.
Yes. So in the early days of my schooling at Marymount, I boarded, but then it became a little bit too expensive for my parents because my father was a farmer, my mother, housewife / farmer. And so they could not continue to board me. And many times I had to walk from Bonnygate to Port Maria, from Port Maria to Bonnygate. So
Wow.
I got very good at walking. I must tell you that despite what students would consider, and some parents would consider a challenge these days,
Right.
you know, I didn't consider it a challenge at all.
At all.
We did what we had to do. For every school that I attended, I participated in activities because I don't know if I have too much energy or what, perhaps from walking, but I participate in a lot of activities from all age school right back until I became a teacher.
Okay.
So I went to Marymount, and after Marymount, I went to Shortwood Teachers College.
Oh, you're Shortwood
and
girl,
I must
okay.
tell you that when I went to Shortwood Teachers College, I didn't set out to become a teacher. I don't know why one goes to a college and then think I want to become a teacher. But I wasn't too certain that I wanted to become a teacher. At the back of my mind, I wanted to become a journalist.
A journalist, okay.
Yes, a journalist. So I went to Shortwood and I specialized in English.
English, okay.
Concluded the diploma and started my teaching stint. Now at Shortwood too, I got involved in activities, and I'd like to think I'm not going to do any singing this evening, but I'd like to think that I can sing.
Oh my God, man! I wish you,
everywhere that I went, I was part of the choir.
I wish you had told me that. We'd have arranged some music for you.
So I was a choir member and group leader and so on. And I do believe that my journey as a teacher was a very eventful one.
Okay.
And you perhaps would have heard along the way that I'm a very serious person when it comes to discipline.
Discipline.
And I told you all of those things make you understand that I am from a disciplined environment.
Okay,
from
wait.
Primary school right up until college.
Hold on. Let me ask you. Your first teaching assignment was where?
At Richmond Secondary.
Oh, you came to Richmond. You came back to St. Mary. Yes. Okay. And
I came back to St. Mary and I started at Richmond Secondary. And perhaps the young people these days do not know about a Richmond Secondary versus a St. Mary High School. In those days, well, as they are now, and the Ministry of Education is making an attempt to create equity.
Equity, right.
But then, yes, equity in the educational system. But back then, the junior secondary students were students who were thought of as perhaps not being as well endowed intellectually as their counterparts at St. Mary High. So when I went to St. Mary, Richmond Secondary, I met upon a group of students whose self-esteem was very low. But I told you before that I'm
Uh-huh.
from a poor background, and it took sheer determination for
Mm-hmm.
me to reach Teachers College, to
Uh-huh.
complete Teachers College, and to start teaching.
Teaching. Uh-huh.
And so I could identify with these young ladies and young gentlemen
Okay.
who, for no good reason, were sent to another school
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
deemed not to be able to satisfy the educational standards of the
Oh,
country.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And it was through no fault of their own.
Mm-hmm.
When I went there, naturally, when your self-esteem is low, the discipline
Is
is,
going
is
to
going to be
okay.
affected.
Right.
And so discipline was affected. At the tender age of 22, I started a disciplinary committee at Richmond
Yeah,
Secondary.
Richmond Sec. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I am like that. I believe that my mission, my purpose is to make a positive difference. And in trying to make a positive difference, I will sometimes come in conflict with others who don't see things the way I do.
Yes.
And I
That.
cannot tell you that I'm always right. But what I can tell you is this, that I believe in my purpose. So the
Okay.
fact that I believe in my purpose means that I might butt head sometimes, but it is always, as I believe, it's always in the best interest of
Interest of the
those
kids.
that I serve.
All right.
I serve.
Yes.
I
That
consider
was
myself a servant.
that was leading me up to your next question about your leadership style. But you just clarified everything there. You are a disciplinarian. No.
I am a disciplinarian,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that I don't share as a leader.
As
I
a
share
leader.
leadership.
Okay.
I
Okay.
believe in doing that. I believe
Good.
in dialoguing. I believe in giving persons autonomy
Uh-huh.
to work, to create, to
Mm-hmm.
improve, just as I do.
All right.
Because
Good.
that is why they were employed in the first
In the
place.
first
You'd be
place.
wasting
All
human
right.
resource if you thought that you knew it all.
Hold on. Guys, we are online here with Mrs. Julett Frazer-Sadaar, principal of St. Mary High. We thank you for logging in, and we hope you'll enjoy the program. Mrs. Sadaar just outlined her teaching style, her philosophy and everything for us, and where she's coming from. So some of us are meeting her for the first time. So, Mrs. Sadaar, interesting question for you. What makes a Marymount girl thinks that she would be able to run St. Mary High? Just throwing that out there. Clarify that for the listeners, please. Mm-hmm.
Because a Marymount girl was taught certain values, and one of them that you learned perhaps not by direct teaching,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the way that you were taught, the values that were inculcated, you learned to become a leader.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I think every student at Marymount High School felt that they could excel. We had guidance sessions with a teacher who is no longer alive, but who I remember vividly, Mrs. Christian.
Yes.
We had guidance sessions with
Etty
her.
Christian.
And let me tell you something, she was very, very thorough. You got a chance to speak about your dreams, your aspirations. You got guidance where that is concerned. And of course, you learned to be disciplined. Today, while I was thinking about what I'd say to you, I recall being in Port Maria, and I went to school during the time when Sister Eloise was principal for a short time.
Okay.
After that, Sister Bernadette took over. And in the middle of Port Maria, Sister Eloise saw someone without her tie on, and she screamed, "Where is your tie?" So the kind of values, and there was always the joke that she went around with a ruler and separated to make sure that it remained ladies. And the values that were inculcated at St. Mary High, at Marymount, really made us strong, made us self-assured, made us confident that we could make a difference.
All right. All right, good. Now, another question the viewers have asked me to come up with. Now, listen, you are following in the footsteps of a few other principals. Do you intend to leave your mark too? And has there been any feeling of intimidation coming behind Mr. Cargill and Mr. Johnson? How do you feel about that?
The mere fact that I am female tells you that persons feel that I should be intimidated. No, I'm not intimidated.
Good.
You need to remember that I started out at St. Mary High in 1993.
So wait, you started as a teacher?
As a teacher
Oh,
at
okay,
St. Mary
okay.
High in 1993.
All right.
And as I told you before, I do not allow the dust to settle. I am not that kind of person. I'm activity oriented, I am values oriented, I have a purpose. And my purpose is to ensure that each and every student that comes in my care, each and every teacher, each and every worker who is in the environment that I am leader for, that they understand their purpose, they excel, and they allow others around them to do the same.
Okay.
So I'm self-motivated. I am not intimidated by anyone, by anything, because I know what I want to achieve.
All right.
And
Great.
one of the things that I want to achieve is to ensure that our students, whatever, I told it I wanted to speak about our mission statement.
Yes. Go ahead, man.
And our mission statement says that we wish to partner with our stakeholders in providing our students with curriculum which caters to multiple intelligences, intellectual growth, and sociocultural, emotional, spiritual, and environmental awareness, ultimately leading to individual, community, and national success.
Okay.
No, that is a lot.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
It is not impossible. No, it's not impossible. I'm going to share my favorite song with you, To Dream the Impossible Dream.
Okay.
Yes, to go where others dare not go. That's my quest, to follow that star.
To follow that star.
So when a teacher starts teaching at St. Mary High School, that teacher should be purpose-driven, should understand I am serving others and I'm also advancing myself at the same time. As a teacher, we need to grow personally and we need to enable, facilitate the growth of others.
Okay.
And when you are about service to self, service to others, service to country, you really have no time to be intimidated.
All right.
So you said, am I going to leave my mark? I am leaving my mark.
You are leaving yours. Okay.
Yes. So that's not the future. That's the present.
That's the present.
That's the past. That's the present. That's the future.
All right. Let me ask something, Mr. Doc. You speak about the mission statement. Could you describe for me the ideal St. Mary High student? What would that student be like?
The ideal St. Mary High School student.
Yes. When that student decides to leave, to graduate, what should that student be like?
That student should be globally ready. And because that student should be globally ready, there are some soft skills that we teach our students. We call it re-socialization. We do not assume that every student who enters St. Mary High School understands what it takes to be successful. And so there is something that we call the STAR Award. The STAR Awards looks at leadership, it looks at helpfulness, it looks at quality, it looks at use of English, it looks at whether you are a monitor and other soft skills.
Okay.
So we focus, it also looks at academic performance. That being the case, what you should get ultimately is a rounded individual. Not just that though, at St. Mary High, I would have told you that one of the aspects of human development that we look at is the fact that students have multiple intelligences.
Okay.
So this one comes with this talent, this skill, this body of content, this interest. It is our responsibility to cater, to develop,
Get
to hone
and mold that. Okay.
every aspect of the student's development.
Okay. All right.
So,
Very. Go
unlike
ahead.
other traditional high schools, Mr. Waller, whatever offering is out there, I am going to grab it. So we offered CAP 1 year, and this year we're offering CAP again.
By the way, hold on. For us who are abroad and who have left long ago, could you explain what these acronyms are? CAP. What is CAP?
Yes.
Explain that for me, please.
The CAP program is a program that is heart related. Heart as in heart, NCT, vet, and so on.
Okay.
So it is skills oriented, and when it was promoted, it was promoted for students who were not necessarily academically inclined.
Okay.
So they would have left high school and not been qualified to move on.
Okay.
So this program was introduced in order to ensure that they were not left behind.
All right.
They were supposed to be equipped with skills. Now, it is felt that every student who attends St. Mary High School is a student who is academically endowed, and that is not so. As said before, they come with multiple intelligences. They are versed at this, that, and it is our responsibility to ensure that whatever the interest is, whatever the skill set, you maximize on that skill set, including coming with talent to be an athlete, coming with talent to be a footballer, coming with talent to play tennis, and so on. So, because I really believe that I should not send out any student who is not ready for the market. And when I say ready, I mean the global market. I try to embrace every program. So there's another program that we have, a hotel management program.
Okay.
And we are one of the few schools that offer that program. As soon as I heard about it, and the strange thing is that it wasn't meant for us. It was meant for St. Mary Technical.
Okay.
I didn't know at the time, but when I found out, I told them I was not giving it up. Why? Because St. Mary boasts a few hotels, and this is a hotel management associate degree program.
Okay.
Many of our students who would not be able to afford to attend college or university immediately, they could find a job in the hotel sector and they'd be ready for it. There are many opportunities that are available to students who embrace that program. For example, last year's set, they went to Negril, they worked at a hotel down there. At the same time, they were being trained. They went to beaches, Baskerville, and they went to many other places. And in doing that, they empowered themselves. And so they were not just ready for university with CAPE subjects. They had dual certification. They were approaching university with dual certification and with choices. I like to empower our students with choices. I recognize that the vast majority of the students who attend St. Mary High School are from poor families.
From poor families,
and so
sure.
Whatever it is that we offer them, we should bear that in mind. So no student should leave St. Mary High School without being able to transition to somewhere else and feel I am contributing to my country, I'm contributing to my community, I am a model in my community. Not only that though, I was speaking to you about the soft skills. We speak to the students about 4Ds: dignity, decorum, diligence. So our students are ambassadors. They reflect the St. Mary High School brand. So any student who attends St. Mary High School understands that you are special. You're not special in the sense that you're above others. You are special in the sense that there's a particular way in which you behave because you are being trained to become a leader out there.
Okay. Let me ask you something, Mr. Dan. You just mentioned CAPE. Is that another exam? Could you explain that one for us, please?
Right.
Yeah.
That examination is an advanced examination to the CSEC examination, and the students at the sixth form level, they are the ones who pursue.
That's like A level, right?
Right.
Oh,
Similar
okay.
to GCE A level.
A level.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that tells you how far back that tells you how far back I come from, way in the A level time. No,
Right.
but you first caught my attention. I don't know if you want to go over this, but you first caught my attention when you had that incident with the football team. That struck me that here is that disciplinarian. Is it something you would mind going over for us to let the audience know what Mr. Sadaar did that many principals throughout the country would not have done? Would you mind explaining that for us?
All right. Generally, while I might not be specific
Right.
with the case of the footballers, generally, this is how I operate. As I told you before, without discipline, we, as human beings, we do not get very far. It takes discipline, it takes self-control, and I also believe in mutual respect. Whoever comes to St. Mary High will tell you that I believe in good customer service, and good customer service means that everybody who comes, it really does not matter the status, you treat them equally. You're respectful to them, and of course, I demand respect in return. So if I have a team,
that's all right.
If I have a team of team around me, be it students or be it students.
Go ahead and take the call, Mr. Sadaar. Let's see what happens. Okay.
I'm not going to take the call. Yes, I'm sorry. Be it students or teachers, if I have a team around me, one of the first things that I emphasize is the fact that mutual respect is important. It's a foundation on which relationships are built. Now, I have a very good relationship with, or I try to create a very good relationship with all of the students who engage in co-curricular activities. I take a personal interest in them, believe me. When they're training, I try to learn about whatever it is that they're doing. And I visit, I speak to them, I tend to learn their names because I want to have that special relationship, and I want them to understand that I am interested in their growth. If my presence can motivate them, then I am going to be there. So it is not unusual for me to go to matches. It is not unusual for me to go on them. It is not unusual for me to make some comments, to recommend something. Yes, that is me. I expect that they understand that while we share that kind of relationship, we'll have that right to make suggestions, to speak to you if I feel that you are not representing too well. You could do a better job of it. And if I feel that you are disregarding of my right to make that suggestion, to call you to a meeting, to speak to you, if you feel that you're above that, then I think that I need to make you understand in no uncertain way that at St. Mary High School, I usually tell the students, there's no star at St. Mary High School.
Okay. We seem to be having a little problem with the sound. I don't know.
Once you start succeeding, you feel that you're above the rules and regulations of the school. No student
is above that. No student is above that. We seem to be having some internet connections here. Your connection is dropping, Miss Sadaar. Your connection is dropping. We seem to, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, we are on Rock the Mic, and we have here Mrs. Julett Frazer-Sadaar, principal of St. Mary High. We seem to be having some internet problems here. Her connection seems to be dropping, and there are people who are saying that her audio is a bit spotty. Mr. Sadaar, check your audio for me, please, and see what's happening there. Check your audio levels. Check your audio levels, Mr. Sadaar.
Yes, I lost connection.
Okay, yes, I realize that. I realize that.
I lost connection. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Right, I lost connection for a while.
That's all right. Okay, so Mrs. Sadaar, what had happened was that you had withdrawn the team from the Augusta Cup competition. Now, let me ask you, what is your involvement with track? Because you seem to be very, very involved with track and field. Is it your favorite sport or what? Can you explain your love for track and field and your close involvement with it?
All right. I can explain. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. I have a love for track and field. I have a love for tennis. I have a love for quiz. I have a love for just about everything activity that takes place at St. Mary High School. I started out by telling you that when the tennis athletes are about to have a competition, and even sometimes when they're training, I go to their training. I find out what it is that they need. I give suggestions. I offer advice. I do the same for cadet.
Okay.
I do the same for track and field. So I do not have a favorite.
You don't have a favorite,
when they excel, yes, when they excel, they do well for themselves. They do well for the school. They represent their communities. They represent the country. The relationship that I share with a particular group perhaps is seen as sharing a better relationship because of the synergy between perhaps the coach or so on. But truth be told, I sit with everybody. You asked me to speak about the cadets in particular, and I'm going to address that.
Yep.
The cadets are dear to my heart too. When the cadets we have not won the cadet inspection since Brigadier Johnson left. But truth be told, every time we are about to have a cadet inspection, or even before, once they're training, I'm out there on the parade square. If I don't know a lot about it, but I'm learning as time goes on, because as I said to you, I try to learn as much as possible. Because I want them to understand that I'm interested in their growth and development, and if that motivates them, then so be it.
Okay.
So I'm out there on the parade square. I am telling this one, you're not marching in tandem with the rest. I am telling Colonel Taylor, this one, I don't think you should use this one for the speech. I'm telling them, come to me with the speech. Let me listen to it before you start speaking. The drama, let me see the drama before. So I take an interest in them. Okay. And I support all of them.
Okay, good.
Perhaps others speak about it more than others. But I do take an interest.
But the alumni has been watching, and they have been pleased that for the last few years we have been back to the podium in Eastern Champs, that we are now defending champions. Explain to me now, how does, for example, you have had a lot of students, several students going away on scholarships. How do those students who leave, how do they support the school? Is there a close relationship with those who have gone abroad?
There is usually a close relationship between Mr. Williams in particular, because he's the head coach, and the students, perhaps myself to a lesser extent, because my purpose is to ensure that they achieve their dreams. My purpose is to ensure that their parents can benefit from their success at St. Mary High and they become ambassadors for St. Mary High.
Okay.
He keeps in touch and it assists us because sometimes they give us spikes and so on. Yes, those who have done well for themselves, they look back at St. Mary High fondly because St. Mary High would have invested in them, and they share a good, very good relationship with
Okay.
the head coach. Most of them.
Okay. Okay. Good. Now, about your job as a principal, most people dwell on successes. I'm going to ask you a very tricky question now. So far, as a principal, have you had any, say, failures or things that didn't go well that you learned from? Would you mind telling us about any of them? Anything that didn't go the way you planned, but you learned a valuable lesson?
All right. There's one thing that I can recall, and I spoke to you about meeting the needs of every student who attends St. Mary High School. When we started out with the Career Advancement Program, the CAP program that I told you about for students who leave high school and they are not ready for college, and so they're given a second opportunity. They are given the chance to learn skills. I knew that I wanted to do it not just for St. Mary High. I wanted to do it for the community because in the mission statement, I spoke to ensuring that the community's needs are met as well.
Right.
And I feel that that is the school's obligation. The school can't be successful. The community is not successful. And the community can't be successful if the school is not successful. That's how I see it. So when we started the CAP program at first, we included students who were not originally from St. Mary High School. They came from mainly upgraded high schools in close proximity to St. Mary High. And that experiment, while I am proud of the fact that I gave them that opportunity, because Mr. Waller, I can't tell you how happy they were. You know that everybody wants to come to St. Mary High, right? Right. So they were very, very happy for that opportunity to come to attend St. Mary High School at last. Nevertheless, when they came and found a culture that was unfamiliar. Attending classes regularly, not sitting outside and talking while you have classes, not being disrespectful to teachers. Some of those things, and speaking standard English too. So the students, our students, gave them a very, very hard time. And my teachers could not understand the reason why I had foisted these students upon them. And so some of them were not happy with the introduction of these students. We tried nevertheless, and at the end of the day, the program was not as successful as I wanted it to be. It included some of our students too, who were not as successful at the CSEC examinations as would have wanted them to be. But it gave me great pleasure to know that the dreams of some of these students, they expressed to me the happiness that they felt that they were now attending St. Mary High School, even though they might not have been representing the way we would have wanted them to represent. At the end of the day, some of them managed to get into case, and they got into case free of cost. They got boarding free of cost. They also meals free of cost. And Mr. Waller, I thought to myself that even though introducing them to St. Mary High and not getting the kind of time that was needed to re-socialize them did not impact our environment too well.
Too well, okay.
At the end of the day, my purpose, part of my mission was fulfilled. And part of my purpose is to enhance the growth and development of the nation, not just St. Mary
Not just
High,
St. Mary High. Okay.
but the nation.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here speaking with the principal of St. Mary High, Mrs. Julett Frazer-Sadaar. Mrs. Sadar, you mentioned something about people being happy to come to St. Mary High. Now,
Yes.
is St. Mary High still the stellar attraction it was back in the day? Is it still the place where everybody wants to come? Now that we have competition from St. Mary Tech, Orcabessa, Taki, and all those places, is the talent in academics and sports being diluted now that they have all these places they can go? How would you answer that?
All right. Let me answer it this way. The time of year that I take my vacation leave is when the PEP results are made available to parents. That's when I want to take my vacation leave. The first year that I sat in the seat as principal, I did not understand the pressure that a St. Mary High School comes under when it was GSAT then, when the GSAT results became available. And so, because I practice an open door policy, every parent who wanted to see me got a chance to see me. And it was one of the most difficult periods of my life.
Those are parents from the primary school
From the
kids.
primary schools,
Oh,
because
okay.
everybody wanted a space, and everybody had a story, a good story, that if I did not accept that story, I was a wicked person. And after that, I learned my lesson. I asked the office to allow them to fill out the transfer forms, and I was not going to see any parent
Okay.
because it took up a lot of my time, and some persons even cried
Oh my God.
because they said they had such a problem with the school, that for whatever reason, the school that child was being placed, and only St. Mary High would suffice.
Okay.
So yes, St. Mary High is still in demand, and
Okay.
a lot of persons are not happy with me because we cannot take more than 20 students at a time. The school cannot accommodate more, and I have up to 300 applicants per year. So you know how difficult that is.
It's got to be difficult,
St.
though.
Mary High, since we started winning Eastern Champs,
Uh-huh.
I realized that St. Mary High has become even more attractive to students in the parish, students outside of the parish. They want to attend St. Mary High.
Let me ask you a
As a matter
question.
of fact,
Hold on, Mr. Let me ask you a question. I teach also, and as a student, I would struggle with this. How do you see it as a principal when the school will get passes in back then, O levels, A levels, this levels, G stat, Cape, whatever. But how do you account for the fact that it's sports that pulls in most of these people? Why is that so? Can you explain?
for one, I'm going to share our performance with you. And I'm sharing our performance of 2020 performance, and this performance compares favorably with other years. Because generally speaking, we do not make public our performance in CAPE or performance in CSEC.
Yeah.
That's one.
Okay.
Secondly, though, strange as it may seem, it's sports that seems to grab national attention than anything else in Jamaica. So a school will be performing satisfactorily or sometimes even poorly. But if the school is doing well at sports, that school becomes a high-profile school, one that is well sought after by many Jamaican parents. I can't explain the phenomenon. I don't support the phenomenon, but the fact is, it is what it is.
It is
And
what it
having
is.
said that, I'm going to share with you our performance
Yes,
in
go
the
ahead.
CSEC and CAPE examinations, 2020.
Okay.
So for CSEC, 200 more subjects, 97%. 300 more subjects, 97%. 400 more, 94.85. 500 more, 86.7. 600 more, 75.5. 700 more, 58.8. Now, that this performance is excellent performance. The subject that used to give us a little challenge was mathematics. And this year, we are proud of the fact that mathematics gained an 80% pass rate.
80%. And our scores are comparable with most other schools, right?
Traditional high schools.
Traditional high
We're
schools.
above upgraded high schools, and it should be. It should be. I don't make any excuses for poor performance. So we have been performing well, and I know that I must address this. I'm happy that I'm getting a chance to address it. I know that there is a so-called ranking that has been making the rounds.
Yes, we see that every day on Facebook.
With us at 60%, and that has never happened at St. Mary High. Certainly not while I have been there.
Yeah, I spoke with the chairman also.
And what persons have been doing is they change the year, but the ranking doesn't change, and the statistics do not change. So obviously, someone has a vested interest in.
Where's that ranking coming from? Is it the ministry?
No, it's not coming from the ministry. It was supposed to have been coming from educatejamaica.org, but since this year, I think you'd have seen in the news that they have desisted. They have discontinued the practice because, of course, schools got upset because the numbers tended to be incorrect. And schools got upset. No, as I said, St. Mary High does not publish its results. And I must tell you that why I'm extremely proud of this performance, because we do not screen our students, meaning that there are some schools that you are recommended to take the subject. At St. Mary High School, I discontinued the practice because my experience has been this. Sometimes you write off a student because I taught before I became principal. Sometimes you write off a student and the student surprises you. Yes. I inherited a group of students one year from a particular teacher. There were 20 students in the group. And when the teacher gave me the recommendation list had, in those days, students were recommended to 6 subjects. The list had 10 students of the 20. When I started teaching the students, I realized that those students could pass the subject. They had a weakness in the sense that assignments were problematic. But Mr. Waller, that class I will never forget. They were contentious. You know what they were contentious about?
What's that?
The novels that they were studying. They quarreled with the characters. They debated. And when I saw that, I knew that they were capable of doing well. When I was done with those students, 16 of the 20 passed.
Wow.
12 of them got a 1. And 4 got 2. I got no 3. And from that day, I said to myself, if the student fails, let it be that the student blames him or herself. But we would have given that chance.
You got a chance.
Student a chance.
It's
not our money; it's theirs, and it wasn't the government's money then, because the government was not paying then. But even now, I understand young people, and young people will be young people. When you are young, you are adventurous. It's that stage in your life. You will have the exception to the norm, and that exception to the norm is that child that you call, quote unquote, old. It's because if the child was born old. But the average student is a student who wants to have fun. And so you have to do all that is in your power to ensure that that student does not make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
that the student pays for later on when the student becomes a little bit more mature.
Mature, okay.
And so we give our children that opportunity. And some of our children too, they take the subjects like math and English, they take those subjects from grade 10, especially those who feel that they can cope. They'll
They
take
can
those
cope.
subjects from grade
Okay.
10 because they feel that they can pass them from grade 10. So those are not included in the statistics. And also, finally, where that ranking is concerned, which is so fallacious, there's
Mm-hmm.
something also that is called statistical fallacy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, if I have 20 students and you have 40 students and you screen and you ensure that it is only the 20
Who you think will pass?
that are capable of passing the
Right.
subjects,
Mm-hmm.
take the subjects, and you see 100%, Mr. Waller,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
you see 50% for me, then you're going to say, well,
Right.
that school is better than that school, and it is fallacious.
Right. Now
Also,
that's.
too, St.
Mm-hmm.
Mary High School has um, more often than not, over 200 students sitting the examinations.
All right. Mm-hmm.
If school A, for example, has 40 students, I can recall this young gentleman one year, we interviewed him for a position at St. Mary High School as a sociology teacher. I asked him, what is your background like? What experience do you have teaching sociology?
Uh-huh.
He had 3 students teaching sociology, 2 at sixth form. No, more often than not, we have sometimes 50 students. Now, if all 3 students pass sociology and get a 1 to a 5,
Mm-hmm.
that's 100%. If my 50 students do not all pass it, then that school would have a much better
A
ranking
much better
than
ranking.
my
Yeah,
school.
that's right.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would beg of those out there not to see ranking as something to brag about. Look beyond the numbers.
Look beyond the numbers. You can lie with
Yes.
numbers, right? All right. No, Mr. Dar, let's get down to some serious business. Now, a couple years ago, you had a fire. How is it that past students can help the school? Explain that. How can past students help you guys?
I'm happy that you're giving me an opportunity to thank some past students. And I use this to thank all of them. The past students have been phenomenal. Since I became principal, I have been getting such support. I've lost track of the year groups, I've lost track of names, and it is not because I'm not grateful. It is because it is so many. So I thank you very much. No, that building that was gutted by fire. I don't know. You must have heard the expression "blessing in disguise."
Uh-huh.
My goodness. When it burned, we didn't have any computers in the room. We had a smart board. We had what else? We had started wiring some tables
Uh-huh.
in the room, and we had a projector in the room, and everything got burnt.
Wow.
The ambitious drive that we had was to equip that room with
Uh-huh.
computers, and that room would be able to accommodate. At that time, we were struggling with mathematics, and apart from one other year, we had not seen the 80 something or 80 or yes, but we're improving.
Uh-huh.
But I thought to myself, I'd want our children know they have been born in the age of technology. And so they learn better with the effective integration of technology.
True.
This room would be that room where the teacher could take the children, have them seated at the computers, and let them have fun learning mathematics. But we were struggling to equip the room.
Mm-hmm.
When the fire got to the building, I was so distraught. But then I got a call from a lady, a past student, Dr. Walker.
Okay.
And when she spoke to
I've heard
me,
about her. Mm-hmm.
yes, when she spoke to me, I ran to the vice principals and I said, yes, I think we are seeing better times. And I told them what she had said to me. I cannot tell you the exact words, but what I do recall is that she said when she made a promise, she kept her promise.
Mm-hmm.
And she was promising us that that lab would have enough computers before the 60th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, so I was really, really excited. The or we call it now our multimedia room, thanks to Dr. Walker. Both of them are doctors.
Yes,
Dr.
I'm
Walker,
trying to get them on too.
Dr. Walker wife, Melton Hines, Mr. Derek Thomas, and so on, and some other past students.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The room is ready.
Good.
It is only COVID now that is giving us hard time. Can you imagine it? So I want to thank past students. Is it over? No, it's not over. They are still, they are doing this project in phases. They are here to transform the landscape or IT landscape at St. Mary High.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And they are doing the project in phases.
In phases.
So phase one is over. That is, the room is ready for our students.
Good.
Computers and smartboard and so on, and it is ready for students. They're also working on the labs. And we're working along with them, a server room and so on. So we still need some assistance.
Okay.
In terms of, yes, more computers, because you know what computers are like. They're not going to last a lifetime.
Right. That's
we've got to replace, we've got to replace them. And also the equipment and devices. So we are still on that drive.
But so is there any other area that you guys, that you think you guys need help in? Let's hear it now.
Absolutely.
Let's hear it. Because we have people out there who are now willing to assist.
Or science labs.
Science labs.
Yes. There are many areas, and I'm going to share a few with you. And our science labs are in need of refurbishing. I'm not happy with their appearance, one. And also, we have some sink that we need to replace and other things. And it's all three labs, our biology lab, our chemistry lab, as well as our physics lab.
Physics lab, okay.
Lab, yes. So we really need assistance where those are concerned.
Okay.
We need assistance too in terms of our food labs. Well, not food labs. We have done some work on some of the labs, but the prep lab, where we want to go, I had spoken to you before earlier about our hotel management program or HTMP program. That program focuses a lot on foods.
Okay.
And we are doing commercial food prep too, because of course I told you also that we are doing CAP, the advancement program. So that prep lab, it needs to be equipped. It needs tiling. We need to take out some of the cupboards and so on, and we need to ensure that we reach the standards that are expected by HEART. So we're going to need some assistance where that is concerned as well.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, Mrs. Sadaar, with the onset of COVID, how do you as a principal deal with that? How do you deal with that in terms of teachers and students?
With the onset of COVID, I thought I had absolutely no choice but to utilize the resources that we had in ensuring that the school was safe for staff and students. So a lot of investment has been made in ensuring that safety.
Right.
Anybody who has not been to St. Mary High since COVID began would be surprised when they returned to St. Mary High, because whereas they had easy access to employees to staff at the various offices. That's no longer the case. We have erected barriers. We have erected security features. In every office, there is a barrier that protects employee, protects students. We have put in many other things.
Wait, so you have students
in
on
order
campus?
to ensure that each. No, we do not have students on campus.
Okay.
No, because the policy is that they stay home and all classes are online.
Okay.
And there is also a hefty fine. So we don't even want to go that way right now.
There is a fine?
Yes, there is. There is. Yes.
Oh my God. And I guess you guys must be disappointed with the cancellation of Eastern Champs, right? Any news on boys and girls?
I have not received any news in terms of Eastern Champs. I was hopeful because as a president, I was in contact with the ISA president as well as the J3A's president, and we were working together where that is concerned. After the cancellation, I reached out to them because I'm still concerned about equity. The fact is that some students qualify for boys and girls champs simply from the regional meets.
Right,
and if there isn't a regional meet, it means that student is not going to qualify. And so I reached out to the ISA president to ask him what is going to happen where these athletes are concerned. I was given good news. They said, don't worry yourself. We are in dialogue, and it seems as if it is going to happen. Lo and behold, though, Grace has been a really good sponsor. I must, without Grace, we would not have been able to contemplate staging that meet. But when the plug was pulled unceremoniously, and I approached Grace again, the gentleman said, you know, what with what? No notice, not short notice, no notice, and we had invested.
Okay.
We started investing from the stadium level to put in some infrastructure so that the meet would be successful. We got sponsorship in order to ensure that everybody could see it across the island, and we spent all of that in vain. Oh, wow. So they're not willing to make that move again unless they have. Yes, they are quite certain that it is going to happen. So I haven't been able to get the documentation that is necessary to persuade the sponsor to get on board. So I'm certain about champs. I'm also not too certain about boys and girls.
Boys and girls champs, okay.
Champs, but the impression that I'm getting is that the boys and girls champs will be on as long as the cases of COVID-19 start decreasing.
Start dropping. All right, Miss Sadaar, it's been quite eye-opening talking to you, but I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to somebody a teacher who said they wanted to become a principal? What advice would you give them?
If you want to become a principal, it's one of the best things, or one of the best moves that anyone could make. Why?
Why?
One of the advantages of being a principal is that you get that opportunity to interact with some amazing people, both staff and students. But one of the benefits, the greatest benefits that one gets is to have someone like Mr. Waller saying, come on guys, our alma mater has done so much for us. You get the opportunity to change a life. I usually call it to transform a life, to make someone believe the impossible dream, to realize that dream, and later on when they have done much better than you, because that's the purpose of education. to
Okay.
make this generation coming up better off than the generation before. You feel that pride that you managed,
Mm-hmm.
you managed this opportunity. And when I speak about manage, I'm talking about getting human beings
Uh-huh.
and the physical resource and the material resource to come together in an effort that is successful.
All right.
While saying that, though, you have to be strong.
You got to be strong.
And that is why I told you before that I have a purpose. If you are not passionate about your purpose, you
Mm-hmm.
could become demotivated
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
because um, you have a vision of where you want to go. You know that you can get there, but change, sometimes it takes change to get there. And change is not easily embraced
Change is
by
not easy.
persons.
All
Change
right.
is fearful, known.
Another question.
So you
Wait.
might not get that kind of support that
You
you'd
might.
like
True.
initially.
Hold on. Let me hit you with this other one. What is one myth about your position that you'd like to debunk? One myth that people or disbelief people have about your position that you'd like to toss out the window.
Um, I think it is the myth about an authoritarian style of leadership. It is a myth.
It is a myth. All right. Can you name in your life? Can you name me three people who have been very influential in your life? Three people.
Mrs. Lynch. Mrs. Lynch
Uh-huh.
made me feel that I could do it.
And who was Mrs.
When
Lynch?
I started out in grade one,
Uh-huh. Okay, you're teaching grade
Mrs. Lynch was my grade three teacher.
one. Okay.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
when I started out in grade one, I was placed in 1C because, the stream in those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But by the time I reached grade three, I had that confidence that I could excel.
All right.
Then there is another teacher,
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Johnson at Marymount High School
Marymount. Okay.
when I was there. I loved English.
Mm-hmm.
I read voraciously. And she encouraged that appetite to write. I also write foolishly. I've co-authored a literature text,
Okay.
and I like to write poetry and so on, and I like to analyze, and I like to critique, and that aspect of me doesn't make me too good to live with, because having experienced, having experienced that kind of exposure, I don't accept readily. I question, but at the same time, I like to listen. I am humble. I like to learn, and because I like to learn, and I know that I can learn from just about anybody, everybody. I've always told the students, even if you see a dog enter the room and the dog has something to say, if you don't know anything, listen. Do not disrespect to that dog. Yes, you can learn. Going back to that myth, listen, and I allow persons the opportunity to grow. Going to have persons who are not happy with themselves. I don't like when people feel complacent in a position. You must grow in that position. And when you grow, I don't have a problem if you seek your dream and you feel that St. Mary High School is not where your dream is going to be realized. Because Maslow speaks of self-actualization, and people must self-actualize in order to feel good about themselves.
Okay, that was two. Give me the third person now. Who's the third?
All right. the third person would be my father.
Okay.
And I'm speaking to you about my father, but because my father could not read. My father could not read, but at the same time, he was one of the wisest persons
Okay.
that I knew. perhaps he listened more than he wrote.
Okay.
And because he listened more than he was mainly a very, very quiet person. My mother was a disciplinarian, and my mother
Okay.
talked and talked. But my father, yes, my mother, yes, good at talking. My father was a very quiet person, but he was good at analyzing situations.
Okay.
He was good at analyzing people, but he didn't speak about people a lot. He spoke about ideas.
Ideas. Okay. Good.
Yes, he spoke about ideas. And I learned quite a lot from him.
From him. So,
Yes.
with Miss Sadaar, the person, with Miss Sadaar, the individual, what do you do in your spare time? Let's say you have a day off, you have time on your hands. What can we find Miss Sadaar doing?
I will. I'm going to share a sick joke with you. Um, and you notice that I'm hesitant in sharing. There is this sick joke that goes around about teachers that a good weekend for a teacher is that weekend when you manage to finish the schoolwork. So you'll find me doing schoolwork because they'll tell you that I walk a lot. I do. I need to be on the ground. I know my students. I know my teachers. I know people. I listen because that's how I learn. Yes, that's how I learn. So I have to use my weekends to do schoolwork, but gardening and poetry writing.
Oh, you do gardening.
And things that I enjoy as well.
So you have a green thumb, right?
Don't know if I have a green thumb, my poor flowers.
All right. Mr. Dar, as we come to the end, is there any question that you think I may have missed that you'd like to answer? Is there any question? What question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask?
All right. It's not a question, really. My 10-point needs, I didn't get a chance to complete.
Go ahead, man.
Yes, I'd love to complete.
Go ahead.
Yes. If I did not complete, I know that if Mr. Williams is listening, he would be so disappointed in me. And I don't want Mr. Williams to be disappointed in me. We share a very good relationship. I know what his vision is. And I'd really like that vision to be realized. And perhaps that is why persons might say, you prefer that. No, we talk a great deal. I know who he is, and he's respectful, and I like that. Good. Even though we share a good relationship, he recognizes that we share a principal-teacher relationship, and so there's mutual respect. And he's a go-getter. He's always setting goals that he wants to accomplish, and one of them is this accommodation for his girls, his athletes. It is our intention to be among the top 5 in the nation. And yes, it might seem like an impossible dream right now.
No, it's not.
But as I told you before, at St. Mary High School, we dream the impossible dream. And it becomes a reality many times. Most times. So we need to be able to convert the principal's cottage into a female dorm.
Okay.
In order, and it is meant for all co-curricular activities because athletics is not always happening. Our quiz team has not been able to do as well as we'd want to do.
Okay.
Because really we cannot accommodate them on campus, and when they're on campus, it's a very uncomfortable affair for them. So we want our co-curricular activities that engage in competition, we want them to be able to have somewhere to stay on campus so that we can put in the preparation that is necessary to excel. We also need a gymnasium. In order for us to really feature in the way that would like to, a gymnasium is necessary. And my music teacher, Mrs. Sherlock, thank you for past students. Thank you, Mr. Waller. You were at the concert. Thank you for attending. Thank you for taking interest in your alma mater. Yes, right. So, Mrs. Sherlock, look here, Mrs. Sadaar. I need a ruler, and she really deserves it. We have been doing marvelously in JC, DC, we are record breakers, Mr. Waller. Yes, we might not get up and brag and boast, but we are record breakers, because I have some teachers who set goals, and every year they move the goal post so that they can achieve more.
Okay,
and
good.
I'm thankful to be surrounded by such staff. So we want to move the music room, and we want to use the music room as a gymnasium, because Mrs. Herlock wants to continue to make beautiful music,
Okay.
and the track and coaches want to make marvelous stars of their athletes.
Okay, good.
So we want to go down that road. So those are some of the activities, projects that we would want persons to invest in. We have a number of past students. Choose that which you are happy to support, and support us as you usually do.
All right. Okay.
So yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. And I also want to tell you too that our CAPE students, I'm not leaving them out of the discussion. Our CAPE students are doing extremely well. This is my opportunity to tell everybody that we are doing well. It is just that we are not making it public.
All right. Well, we are going to start making this public, Ms. Sadaar. We're going to start making this public.
Yes.
We're going to have to put Mirzai back on that podium, back on the map. And
we weren't off the map. We are on the map more than ever.
Well,
you see, that is another myth. That's another myth. That we're off the map.
We're going to remove the lampshade so the flame shines out. All right?
Actually, as I said before, those events that are competitive events that perhaps the media will run with,
all right,
you'll know about them. But we have been striving, we have been doing extremely well. We have record after record. For example, grade 7, for the very first time, we have had all grade 7 groups. We have moved the bar from 65 to 70%. So if you're not performing at 70%, we are concerned about it now. And because we moved that bar, grade 7, all 6 grade 7 classes made that class average. Never before. So we are doing what we need to do. We are achieving what we need to achieve. And two, among the schools that were inspected, only 11 schools were rated good to exceptional, and St. Mary High was among those 11 schools. Okay. So when they came recently to inspect us again, the gentleman, the lead inspector said, we did not receive some documents from you. And we were saying to ourselves, a high-profile school like St. Mary High, what is happening? But he was pleasantly surprised, because I said, actually what happened is that I misinterpreted what you said. You highlighted some things, and that is what we sent to you. But here are the documents that you have requested. And when we get that preliminary assessment or evaluation of our school, I am quite certain that it is going to be another good evaluation. We are not perfect, but we are working towards raising the bar. From we got that review, good review, and we know that exceptional is the other level. The theme that we have adopted is raising the bar from good to exceptional.
Anyway, so when you get that result, I'm coming back to you again.
Exceptional in something.
When those results coming, I'm coming back to you again, Ms. Sadaar, because I'm liking what I'm hearing. I like what I'm hearing. And Ms. Sadaar, we've been on now for an hour, 20 minutes, and I want to leave some for another time. In fact, I want to make this a regular thing where we have a principal's report almost basically every month. You let us know what's going on and how we can assist. But I'd love to thank you for coming on, Mr. Sadaar. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad that we got a chance to see you, to meet you, to hear from you. And we're going to do this again. I promise you.
It is my pleasure. Anytime. If when you need me to speak, I'm not available, as soon after as possible, because as I told you, I'm purpose driven. I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve the stakeholders. Because in serving the stakeholders, it becomes that mutual, that enhances all of us.
All right.
So thank you very much
And
for allowing me space and time to articulate the vision, and of course to make persons aware of what is happening at St. Mary High School.
And I like
Again,
what I hear.
I say thanks to past students. There are too many to mention, but someone like Dr. Guy, the Board of Management, the PTA, so many stakeholders to thank who have always been there. And I really have to thank the board because they have supported me well. They have supported in such a way that I feel confident to make certain moves, and that is why we have improved as a school. We have indeed.
And let me tell you, Mr. Dar, we all bleed green and gold. We all bleed green and gold, and we'll be here supporting you. So thanks for coming on Rock the Mic, ma'am, and I'm hoping to see you again. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Waller, and thanks for the good job that you're doing. And I look forward to that bus.
I am looking forward to getting a drive in that bus coming up that hill. That's all I want to see, a bus coming up that hill. Okay, all right, Mr. Dar, have a nice evening, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
You too. Thanks for everything.
Okay, ma'am. Bye. All right.
Bye-bye.